do have Genesis Metals. They're in the Shibugamu camp, and I'm excited to have David Terry join us. He's a president and CEO of Genesis Metals. And following Genesis, we have Ross Can Gold. He's going to present it by Nana Sanmuk, and then the closing presentation or closing keynote by Brent Cook.
Great. Well, I appreciate you all tuning in today to hear an overview of Genesis Metals. I will be making some forward-looking statements, and this is just the main points of the talk that I'm going to be covering today as we move through it. Genesis is a member of the Discovery Group that I'm sure many of you have heard of. It's a well-established alliance of exploration and development companies based here in Vancouver, BC. Well-known companies that are currently part of the group include Bluestone Resources and Great Bear Resources, and the group is also well known for past transactions, including the sale of Kaminak Gold to Gold Corp in 2016 and Northern Empire to Coeur in 2018. We're very fortunate at Genesis to have a really solid team behind the company, both on the management and board, as well as the advisory group. I'm sure you'll recognize a number of the names on this slide. I'm not going to take the time to go over them in this short presentation today. We've also got a very strong technical team focused on our project on the ground in Quebec. Genesis has currently 52 million shares outstanding. We've got about $3 million in the bank as of the end of 2020, and current market cap's around $12.5 million. We, for a company our size, we've got a really good share structure, I believe. Management and close associates have about 16% of the stock, and about 35% is held by a series of institutional shareholders, including Eric Sprott, Commodity Capital, Gold 2000, Delbrook, with the remainder 50% or so being held by retail shareholders. Genesis is really focused in the Abitibi Greenstone Belt in Eastern Canada, which spans the boundary between Ontario and Quebec. I'm sure many of you have heard of this before. It's one of the most attractive exploration and mining jurisdictions for both gold and base metals in the world. And on this slide, you'll see a number of the well-known historic mining camps that really got the mining industry going in Canada a century ago. We've got two projects, October Gold down in the southwest part of the Abitibi on the Ontario side, and then our flagship and focus project, Chevrier, which is up to the northeast in the Shibugamu mining camp. So most of this presentation will be on the Chevrier project. I've got one slide on October Gold at the end of the presentation. Chevrier is located just 35 kilometers south of the historic mining town of Shibugamu, Quebec. We cover a greater than 15-kilometer extent of the main gold-related northeast-oriented structural break in the area called the Fan Camp Deformation Zone. We've got a current mineral resource on the project that was put out in 2019, containing just under 400,000 ounces of gold at an average grade of 1.45 grams per ton in the indicated category, and just under 300,000 ounces of gold in the inferred category at an average grade of 1.33 grams per ton. I've got a more detailed slide on that coming up in a couple of slides. We're in an area, as you might expect, with excellent infrastructure, paved highway to the north and to the east of the property package. It's a very large property that's been put together in several stages, but it occupies about almost 300 square kilometers of land in a very prospective area. Good network of forestry roads throughout the property, rail line, power line, regional airport right here. We have a core shack and operate out of this small town called Chapé. It's a very mining friendly area, as you might expect, with the locals really supportive of mineral exploration and development. A lot of activity going on in the area around us. Historically, it's produced about 7 million ounces of gold between the Chapé and Shibugamu subcamps over the past century, but there's a lot of exploration going on today. This again is the outline of our property. Down to the southwest, a long trend of the Fan Camp is the Monster Lake property that IM Gold is exploring. They've got a small high-grade resource on that right now and continue to explore it. They've discovered a 3 million ounce deposit called Nelligan. The maiden resource came out in the end of 2019, and they continue to explore on that. And it looks to me like they have good potential for expanding it. So that's a pit constrained resource, averaging about a gram. And then Joe Mann was a past producing mine just down to the south of Chevrier, produced about 1.2 million ounces at 8 grams and is still being explored today. There's 3 known gold deposits on the Chevrier property, the Chevrier main zone and east zone, separated by about 8.5 kilometers. Those 2 deposits are where the current mineral resource is located. And then the south zone, which is just almost contiguous with the main zone and does not have a current mineral resource. And I've got a slide on that coming up as well. So here's the details on the current resource. As you can see, it's broken up between the main zone and east zone, as I mentioned, and it's further subdivided into the open pit or pit constrained component and an underground component at both sites. And then there's inferred and indicated resources at the main zone. About 53% of the overall resources are constrained in a pit shell, and you can see the parameters here that were used in that resource estimate in 2019. Since I got involved with Genesis just a bit over a year ago right now, we've spent quite a bit of time looking at all the historic work that's been done and looking at the mineral resources and the deposits. And one of the early things that came to the fore was that there's a lot of high-grade gold in the Chevrier main deposit that has not been well defined by the current or previous patterns of drilling. And just to show that through an example, we've ranked all the gold intercepts by grade times thickness pre-2020 drilling, and you can see there's a number of really strong high-grade gold intercepts, and many of these do not have a drill hole within 25, 30, 40 meters. And so we found that to be an opportunity to go in with some focused drilling and focus on the high grade component of the deposit, try to expand its influence, better define it, and hopefully impact the grade of the deposit going forward. Typical quartz vein hosted orogenic style gold mineralization is what characterizes the gold at Chevrier. So based on that, we designed a 2020 drill program that was executed in 2 phases, totaled about 8,700 meters and 37 drill holes. And these holes were largely oriented in a number of areas throughout the main zone deposit. You can see on this sort of perspective image, the pit shell from the 2019 resource estimate for location. And then we've got a 0.3 gram grade shell just around the mineralized bodies from our current level of modeling. And so you can see these 6 areas that we've identified with potential for high grade. The Fox is probably the one that we've put the most holes into, and we've had some really good results from that. But some of these other ones are also quite interesting. Mouse and grouse here, we named them all after animals. Mouse and grouse are actually just outside of the pit shell, and grouse was a sort of a deep target down below. So this is the distribution of the holes. The purple ones on here are the phase 1 that were drilled last winter, and the green ones are the phase 2 that were drilled in the fall. Highlights from the phase 1 program, we drilled 9 holes, 6 of them were successful in intercepting high grades, and you can see just a summary of highlights here: 10 grams over a meter, 9.7 over 3.65, 9.73 over 4.5, 14 over 2.2. So we felt we were very successful in targeting the high grade in that initial phase of drilling, ranging from 60, 70 meters below surface down to about 220 meters below surface. So we carried out this phase 2 program in the fall. It consisted of 25 holes. 10 of those have been reported in a news release right around the end of November. We're still waiting for the balance of those results. We expect them very soon. But most of those holes were targeting the Fox zone as well. And we had a couple of really good hits in the core of the Fox zone, including hole 76, which is this hole here in the cross section. The wider intercept here was 4.5 grams over 40.5 meters. And within that, 10.77 grams over 13.9 meters, and a really high grade core to it of 21.3 grams over 4 meters. So really good, solid intercept. Hole 77 was an undercut under that as well. Got a good intercept. So we're starting to build out a really high grade sort of plumb in the center of the Fox zone here with this more detailed drilling. And you can see from this cross section that this is something that requires more drilling going forward. This is a photograph of the core from the core part of that hole 76, just to show you what the core looks like. We hit it at a pretty good core angle. You know, good shear hosted quartz vein mineralization, and I put the individual assays up to show that this is not an intercept that's held up by just a couple of high-grade assays. It's a good, consistent, high-grade intercept. So we look forward to getting more of these on the Chevrier deposit. So basically, before I leave that, so we're waiting for the balance of our results. We're going to update our internal model and really determine what the next course of action or appropriate course of action on the Chevrier main deposit will be going forward, whether it's more drilling or move to an updated resource estimate. But we've got to update all the information before we move forward on that. So I mentioned the South Zone at the beginning of the presentation. It's a known zone of mineralization. It's got similar dimensions to the main zone, about 1.2 kilometers of strike length. At its widest part, it's about 350 meters wide. It is under a shallow, constrained body of water, but it is a significant deposit. And so we're looking at what is our potential for turning this into a current mineral resource. It's only got 18 drill holes, very wide space drilling, but there's a number of near surface, fairly wide 1 gram type intercepts, some a little bit deeper. You can see the scale bar here, that's 300 meters there. A little bit deeper, fairly high grade results, almost 6 grams. Over 6.6 meters, and then some really wide 0.75 over almost 70 meters, and 1.32 over 40 meters. So that's something that we're evaluating right now. We'll make a decision fairly soon as to how we're going to move forward on that. So the other aspect of our exploration on Chevrier is to really go beyond the current known mineralized zones and try to find something new on this property. It's obviously got very prospective geology. It's got this major structure running through it. It is largely covered by a thin veneer of glacial till, and obviously we have lakes in some areas to deal with. And so in 2019, the company carried out a property-wide glacial till survey covering the whole property. You can see the extent of the grid and the sample locations in this map down on the lower right-hand side of the slide. And that resulted in 6 priority targets kind of coming to the fore. And they're shown as these red circles on this main map here. This is the Fan Camp trend coming through here, the location of the main zone and east zone. And so in 2020, we really went after those areas with focused follow-up till grids to try to better define anomalies, soil grids, where appropriate, mapping, prospecting, and sampling. And as we speak, actually, we're carrying out a ground magnetic survey in this area here, trying to follow up on this. So this area here, this target number 1 and 2, has really come to the fore as a significant till anomaly. You can see this inset here. Here's the east zone. Here's this area here. There's no outcrop in this area. It's about a 1.5 or 1 by 1.5 kilometer size target area. And one of the follow-up samples returned 466 gold grains in a normalized 10 kilogram sample size. 90% of those almost were pristine, indicating a gold source within a couple hundred meters. And so multiple samples, this is looking like an interesting target. And that's really going to be our next sort of major exploration initiative, is to drill some holes into this target this winter. We're just working on finalizing the details on that now.